Welcome to ISRA League's Grand Touring Championship, brought to you by the Z1 SimWheel LCD Display and LCD Display software. You can add all of these dashboards and telemetry readouts to your sim rig, and you can find it, plus some excellent high-end wheels at z1simwheel.com. I'm Daniel Quaroni, and welcome to Race 4 at Suzuka. We got to run through this. So Wyatt Foster has 50 points at the moment, leading the HPD standings. Daniel Gralty, Mike Young, second and third. Brian Carey and Ryan Huff, fourth, fifth. Brent Browse, Lance Snyder, sixth, seventh. Matthew Voigt, John Kelly, 8, 9. And James Mines rounding out the top 10. In the Corvette, we've got Dimas Milana also with a perfect 50-point record, with Todd Carver just 2 points behind him, though. Jeremy Burris just eking out a third place above Timothy Stoll. And we got Lauren Bateman, John Kuzland, Mike Kelly, Brendan Mercer, Kenny Coughlin, and Stephen Clark running out the top 10. Finally, in the McLaren, another perfect score. James Cullen with 50 points ahead of Chris Drumron Jr. by 3 points, ahead of Russell Cow by 3 points. Corey Davis and Anthony Muniz are the 4th and 5th spot. Robin Ainscoe, Daniel Verness, Troy Harder, Andy Fuller, and Mark Payne round out the top 10 there. Brian, have the map.
All right, Suzuka. If you guys don't know Suzuka by now, I don't know what to tell you, but it's one of the best tracks we have in iRacing, one of the best tracks circuit tracks in the world. It's a figure 8 configuration, lots of interesting parts of it, but it does drop underneath there. You see turns 8 and 9, the Degner curves. Very difficult to get that first part, turn 8 right into 9, which goes underneath the track there, through the hairpin, through Spoon Curve, and then through the crossover, which heads towards the Castillo Triangle. So expect a lot of passing there in class, as well as going into the first turn. A little harder.
And now we're on to qualifying. Sorry, real quick, because it's a short pace lap. Wyatt Foster on pole, 144.449. Brian Carey second. Ryan Huff, Daniel Gralty, Mike Young round out the top 5. John Kelly, James Mines, Brent Browse, Matthew Voigt, and Ryan Corns out the top 10.
Corvettes is Todd Cover on pole with Dimas Milana, Lauren Bateman, Jeremy Burris. On the second row, Tim Stoll and Marty Jefferson the third. John Kuzlin, Chuck Chambliss, Chris Dorsey, and Stephen Clark will be the top 10 for the Corvettes.
And in the HPDs, we got Russell Cow on pole, just ahead of James McLaren. Russell Cow just ahead of James Cullen, Chris Damron Jr., then Renee Weissflog, Troy Harder, Corey Davis, Dan Verness, Robin Ainscoe, Colin McLean, and Anthony Muniz round at the top 10. We are racing.
Man, it doesn't look like anyone's crashed so far, so that's a good start. We're 20 seconds into this thing, so always good to see that. Wait, has someone crashed? I don't know.
Yeah, there was an incident before the start, even for the McLarens. It was James Cullen got spun around as they were heading through the Castillo Triangle, so that's why there's a bit of a gap there. Nice side-by-side racing here between Colin McLean and Troy Harder. McLean makes up quite a few positions. He's up 2 spots already within the first 7 corners of the circuit, on board now with Corey Davis, heading his way out of the S's and up towards that long left-hand turn down towards Degner. Looks like, some oversteer there from the leader, Russell Cow. Looks like Corey Davis able to take a bit of advantage there on his teammate. Renee Weissflog out of position there. A lot of McLarens funneling their way through Degner, and that's Cow off at Degner 1. He's going to lose a spot to both Kaiser drivers, so he's down to 4th place.
Okay, so this is pretty frantic. I apologize. So there are some incidents, but we'll see if things settle out here. I kind of hope they don't, because this is great stuff right now. These McLarens are really able to battle with each other on this circuit. A lot of switchbacks in this. There's left, right, so not a lot of consecutive corners, which is good to see and really does help the racing, especially in the McLarens.
Troy Harder working hard to not understeer into... Sorry?
Oh, just hard. It happened already.
And that's James Cullen, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Cullen off the track.
Who spun off again, yes.
But he may have been damaged in that earlier incident, so keep an eye out for that.
And getting up to some of the action in the LMP2 class, that looked like Victor Beltran running wide going through turn 1 that allowed Jerry Motorstorff to make up a position. That moves him up into, 13th, I believe? Yes, 13th.
There we go.
Now
Damron's dropping positions.
Yep, and because he's feathering the throttle like that, it looks like he had a corner cutting penalty, and by the looks of it, a very severe one. He's losing tons of positions. I guess you probably would have gotten that going through the Castiel Triangle. That's dropped him all the way down to 7th place, and I believe he was leading the GT3 class at one point.
So now you have Corey Davis and Rennie Weissflog 1-2 in the McLarens.
And
right
James
now
Mines, John Kelly drag racing it down towards Spoon, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so. It's kind of hard to tell from the onboard shot because that looks like a few places on the track.
Oh, Russell Cow! Almost lost the back end, but will lose a spot to Colin McLean.
And it looks like he's going to be caught on the outside there, allow Troy Harder to sneak past too as they head down towards Degner too. Yes, he does. Sneaks by, closes his door, not allowing him to fight back. He's going to look to defend now from Chris Damron Jr., who's trying to make his way through the field as Damron takes a little peek up there, going through the hairpin. Kyle covers the line, so there's no room for him, but some frantic racing here in the McLarens at the early stages of the race.
And Mike Young dropping back behind, or had dropped back behind. Oh, Ryan Huff, and I think that'll probably end both the races there. That was a big hit for both of them. Damage on the side of Huff's car, probably damage on the front of Mike's car. They might be able to continue, they might be able to fix it, but those cars will not be anywhere near 100%, so I think that ends both their challenges.
Now to some action in the Corvette class, because see Marty Jeffries and John Kuzum look like they're having a bit of a scrap together. The Corvettes, rather, not nearly as close as the McLarens are in the opening stages of this race, but Kuzum making a nice gain there on Jeffries as they made their way through turns 1 and 2, so he looked for him to make a move there. And now going through turns 1 and 2, Damron's going to take a little peek up on the inside of Russell Cow heading into turn 1. Cow better under braking manages to hold that position up on the outside, and that means he'll maintain his 6th position in GT3 at the moment.
Yeah, that turn 1 there is a very, very fast corner, but with Damron on the inside, having Cow on the outside, he can't run all the way outside, which really cuts his speed. And when you're going side by side, the outside line, I believe, is going to be the faster one pretty much every time. So Cow, not braking deeply, but able to maintain more speed around the outside and having a better shot at turn 2. But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to hold on to that position for much longer.
Yeah, he really seems to be struggling in the Dunlop curve as they head down towards Degner. It is just about flat out once you make your way through that turn 7, I guess it is, but can be quite tricky. You can wash understeer wide out into the gravel out there, and well, if you're not careful, you'll end up in the tires, or you'll pretty easy to get oversteer there, like we saw in the opening lap in the McLarens that cost them the lead. So very tricky part of the course to get right, and it'll be even more tricky once the LMP2 cars come by to start lapping these guys in that section.
Yeah, it's Anthony Muniz there coming up in the back of Robin Ainscoe. These guys, oh, there's Russell Cow off the track, so it looks like these guys will get past him, and maybe Muniz will 3 wide down the hill towards 130R, which is a pretty intense corner. Let's see if Muniz is able to take it on the outside. I don't know if he had enough momentum there or not, so Russell Cow might get in the in between this battle here, and yeah, he's going to back out. Not sure what I started to say, but I'm sure it's going to be awesome, so give me a second to try to reload that back into my memory. Oh yes, Muniz and Ainscoe, I mean, they've been battling up front before, you know, so the last race at Interlagos, they had a lot of battles up in the front there, so this McLaren field is very, very deep and very competitive.
On board now with Troy Harder, they make their way through turns 1 and 2. He was another car competing at the top of the class at Interlagos as well. He's having a fight with Kyle McLean, who at that last race at Interlagos decided to go with a different aero configuration than the rest of the cars, so don't think it worked out all that well for him.
Troy, on the other hand, is trying to phase in and out of this dimension to see if that has an effect on his strategy here. Well, hopefully that'll clear up for him, because you're having a close battle. That's unnerving for both drivers, and that keeps happening. Yeah, these McLarens are really able to attack the corners there. It's Degner 1, Degner 2 they're going through right now. So it's a pretty fast entry through Degner 1 there. You really have to be able to attack the curb, but not too hard because it'll pitch you off the outside of the track, and then get a good smooth run through Degner 2, which will take you up to the hairpin.
And now back with Jerry Morsdorf. Oh, and that's James Mines off in the Red Bull LMP there. So he had, I guess, caught the too much curb coming out of turn 2, I guess that would be. Looks like he managed to avoid significant damage, at least from the very quick shot that we saw, so hopefully he's able to recover. But also, we saw from that shot, looked like Victor Beltran was able to find a way past Jerry Morsdorf once again to take what is now 10th position after the a couple LMPs have had to retire. Now on board the front nose of Timothy Stoll's Corvette, heading down into turn 1 and 2. He's fighting with Jeremy Burris, getting very close. Ooh, and a little bit off track there, going towards turn 2. It loses a little bit of time, but he looks like he has pretty good pace. So the Corvette's already quite spread out, and you can see there's at least a second and a half between most of the guys already this early in the race, which is a bit unfortunate. But looks like Lance Snyder and Tim McLeish are starting their, I guess you could call it their typical battles that they seem to get into almost every race that they are in the same class, so that's nice to see.
Oh, Brent Briles. Well, there was a big spin somewhere. Who was that? That was John Kelly.
John Kelly.
It happened so fast. The closing speed was so fast, I could barely see the car, but you could tell the silver and blue in that car as he went whipping by. So that's unfortunately John Kelly has dropped back to 11th. Tim Stoll running wide, and Marty Jeffries going to see if he can take advantage of that. Tim Stoll's looked a little ragged the last lap too. I don't know if he's overheated those rear tires or not, but that can definitely happen in the Corvette. And Daniel Burness and Rene Weissflog. This is a battle for second place in the McLarens. Corey Davis has pulled out a small lead, as you can see just up the top of the screen there. You can see him just come out of camera shot. But Rene Weissflog doing a good job holding off Burness. And does Daniel have a different paint scheme for this race?
Well, it's still white and a couple colors of blue, so you might have changed the pattern, I guess.
All right, Tim McLeish and Lance Snyder. And for our GTC Season 6 fans, this is a rehash of what we spent half of our time watching, was the battle between these two here. So good to see them getting some shot here.
And now back with Troy Harder as he's still trying to get past Colin McLean. McLean now about over 4 seconds back from the battle that was happening up for second place in GT3, so those top guys starting to pull away a bit. Oh, and there's the overall race leader Wyatt Foster making his way through, so that didn't take all that long for him to get around and start lapping the slowest of the GT cars.
Oh, this is a really cool shot. As we're going to be going to 130R here, Tim has got a great run on him. We're going to go through 130R, see if Tim's able to keep his momentum. There we go. A little bit of an aero wash there, so he dropped back just a touch. He's not close enough to pass, but looks like Tim does have the speed at the moment on Snyder.
And back with Russell Cow, who, as we know, has had some issues early on in this race. He's trying to fight his way back through the field. He's currently running P8, and he's got Rob Ainscoe just in front of him in that red 46 McLaren. I hear at LMP that's Brian Carey sneaking his way back on the outside as they head down into what would be turn 6, I believe.
Yeah, he's heading into Dunlop there. The corner before Dunlop, I should say.
And someone else off. That was Rene Weissflog, I do believe.
Ah, yes, and that would be a result of, I think, a mistake on his part after Wyatt Foster was coming through the lap, I believe.
Yeah, it's one thing with these LMPs here at this track. This is for most people a medium downforce track. I think actually Wyatt might have been a low downforce because he's kind of a freak, but medium downforce for most of the LMPs. But what that means is the LMPs have a lot of aero grip in some of these faster corners. Once you get up, say a fourth gear corner for them, they're much faster than these McLarens, and what they're able to do is drive on the outside of some of them. The problem with that is if you don't make the pass by the exit of the corner, the McLarens will drift up into them. If you do time it right, you can easily drive around the outside, and the McLarens won't lose any time. But more often than not, it works. But every so often, there's a little bit of an issue, and that's going to happen from time to time in this race here. It's just it is a slightly difficult multi-class track, but still a fun one. James Cullen trying to fight his way back around the outside of Anthony Muniz into Castillo Triangle there, and Anthony doesn't fight him too much. James is looking to go forward and in a hurry, so it'll be a matter of time there, I believe, before James were to get by, so best not to get in an accident, as we're back with Troy Harder, now in third place with Colin McLean second. Because Verness and Vice Vlog have dropped down the order.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I'm not aware of what happened to Verness, unfortunately, but he is being shown last.
I think what happened actually with Vice Vlog there, he went off the track, got a little loose when White Foster went past him there, and I think unfortunately he collected Verness as he went around it. Oh, there's more stuff. That was Ainscoe and Matthew Voigt.
Yeah, that was a heavy crash there between both those two guys. It looked like Ainscoe caught the brunt of the damage there, hitting the tire wall. Voigt might have gotten away a little bit better than him and simply spun. Ooh, and there's the oversteer I was talking about earlier. That was Russell Cow getting caught out massively. Just barely was able to hold on to that. It was a good driving skills shown right there by Russell Cow. But yeah, that's pretty easy to do. And
chaos.
Yeah, so much action going on all over the track.
Going on and off the track, as a matter of fact. Those guys are going every which way here. So we got Jerry Morsdor, Victor Beltran, we've got James Mines, I believe, behind them. So we got 3 LMPs right there.
Also, John Kelly was just behind as well.
Oh yeah, then I have John Kuzlin chasing Marty Jeffries with Tim Stoll just ahead of them. And Marty Jeffries scaring the living whatever to John there as he came back across the track. I don't think anyone touched, so no damage for anyone there except for some soiled shorts and worn tires. In that order. Skid marks of all varieties, folks.
And Beltran looking to have a little bit of a peak there on Jerry Morrisarf heading through 130 yard and didn't quite have the momentum, didn't want to force it, so he wisely backed out. On board the front nose of Mines now. Wow, that was a nice save there by Beltran, and it slowed Mines up enough to not give him an advantage coming out of that corner. So it looks like Beltran's going to be a little bit defensive heading down towards 1, but I'm not sure that Mines is going to have the speed. Oh, he's going to use the draft, going to look up on the inside, going to be on the inside and have the pass made into turn 1. So he was able to get it done. Didn't look like he was going to have the momentum, but he did a nice job drafting down and getting the pass made by turn 1.
Actually, one of the things I just noticed from that onboard shot, and it's something that occurs to me during the races, but I forget to mention, is when you're in this situation here, Beltran behind James Mines right now, and they're coming around these McLarens. When you come up on a McLaren and an LMP, that's not the hard lapping to do to judge your distances to make sure you run into them. What's really hard is when you're following another, in this case LMP, and they come up on a McLaren or a Corvette, and not knowing if they're going to go for the gap or if they're not going to go for the gap. Because if it looks like they're going to go for the gap, you're going to want to try to follow them through. But if it looks like they're going to go for the gap and they don't, more often than not, you're probably going to run into the back of them. So you got to be really, really careful when you're in a tight situation that we're seeing right now.
That was a very good example of the high caliber of drivers that we have racing here in ISRA. So LMPs passing out on the outside, going through a Degner 1. Very difficult to make, but all drivers are able to get through that, so well done on those guys' parts. Now, actually, here's a battle for the lead of GT1. We were on board quickly with Todd Carver. You can see his number 40 Corvette there. He's chased down Deepas Maulana, and he's putting some heavy pressure on him right now. So is James Mines putting some serious pressure on Morsdorf, heading down now towards 130R. Made a good pass there on Beltran going into turn 1. Let's see if he can make 2 positions in 1 lap.
There you have a good shot at it going under brake. Oh, he's got a good run coming off the corner here, so we'll see how he's... Oh, not quite enough under brakes. You gotta have to be cautious there too, because if you go late on the brakes and the other person goes late on the brakes, then there's a good chance you might come into the corner together. So caution, a bit of Pret of Valor there, as we have Todd Carver underneath Deemas Milana. This is a battle for the lead. Also like to point out that at some point during this, I'm noticing my name on the timesheets. I binned it, going through the Dunlop corner there. Dropped the gear lower than I thought I was in and spun the rear tires, and off into the wall I went.
And these two drivers have some very clear track in front and behind of them, which is probably going to be a rare thing for them in the at least the first half of the race. Once the second half comes around, it might be a little bit more clear, but these guys are just fighting it out right now by themselves, no one to get in their way. Now taking a look at
big accident, James Mines.
Wow, he came nearly across the track and nearly took out Victor Beltran. was very close there.
Same place that I biffed it about a lap ago.
Yeah, so that's that corner presenting quite a few problems here for a lot of these drivers.
Actually, I think one of the things that is, and I'm just going to go with my situation, but we'll see if it applies to James too, is going through that corner there. You're kind of between gears turning into Dunlop, and what that means is that these LMPs are very high end, the torque's very high at the high end. The RPM range, I should say, so you'll go from basically no power to the rear wheels to all of a sudden you hit a certain RPM and they really just power up. So when you're between gears like that, you're in a lower gear, you put your foot hard down on the gas trying to get acceleration, and at a certain point the power just really snaps in and you get a lot of wheel spin. And for the most part you're good with shifting and your foot and dealing with that, but sometimes it can catch you by surprise. Also, I occasionally suck, so there is that. But John Kelly, Beltran runs wide, so Kelly backing off, trying not to get collected by him. But let's see if Beltran has to slow up for a corner cut. Looks like he's got a good run.
He's going to, he's going to drive right on past. So, like you said, Beltran may have had a corner cut because that seemed pretty easy there for John Kelly to drag his way past. Kelly's got Jerry Morsdorf just in front there, and going to go back now to some Corvettes. It's Jerry Burris, Tim Stoll. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it looks like Stoll made some contact with either another car or a wall. He's got some front damage on that.
I'm going to say Burris, just because of that wing. Just throwing it out there.
Ah, yes.
That wing don't look right. Which is awkward because they're teammates.
Oh yeah, that's true. I kind of forgot about that because the paint schemes are different. But yeah, they are both Turn 1 Heroes teammates. So it'll be a little bit of an awkward moment there on their team speak or whatever that is they're using for comms.
They don't want Jeremy to go all Mark Webber on him.
It still looks like there's some pretty good battles in the McLarens going. There's Colin McLean and Troy Harder here just in front. These guys are fighting for P2. And just behind it's Chris Damron Jr. and James Cullen. And Harder making a look on the outside. Ooh, Colin runs wide, gives him a little bit of a tap there. Harder's going to have a tough time fighting off these two other McLarens. Looks like Dameron's already through. He's just going to hold off James Cullen, I think. He's going to pitch him towards the outside, defend the outside, go back to the other side of the track now, and that's going to force Cullen to have to back off a little bit and take another look at see where he can get by. But looks like I'm not sure if he got any damage. There's a pretty light tap that he had with McLean, so this McLaren is a pretty tough car, so I don't expect that to be that big of an issue. Harder's still going to be defensive as they head down towards 130 yards, going to hold the inside of the track. Oh, well, I thought he was. I guess not. Looks like Cullen has a great run coming down towards 130 yards. They're going to go side by side. Oh, and a bit of contact between the two guys, and they both spin around.
Wait, I think they're still good. Hopefully they're still good.
Definitely still good.
So Troy Harder's all right.
Yeah, I think they got away with that. Looks like they're going to lose a couple spots to other McLarens, but all things considered, they got out of that fairly light, I think.
No, that was pretty ballsy by both those guys there, and honestly, it sucks that they both spun, but it was saw when they were going to go side by side to the 130 yard. Got pretty excited.
Well, meanwhile, Cal McLean now is under pressure from another McLaren, this time from Chris Damron Jr. McLean still holding on to that P2 spot in class. Corey Davis, meanwhile, has pulled out a very large 9.5 second lead over Colin McLean. So Davis comfortably leading the GT3 class at the moment. And James Cullen, I'm sure, would love to try and get his car back up there. He's running currently in P7, but he's made his way up as far as 4th place, I believe, after having that couple early incidents in the race.
Huge run by Cullen. There's nothing you can do there, though, going to the first Degner. And Tim Stahl and Jeremy Burris are going to resume their whatever that was there, but it is good. Actually, I mean, I'm really enjoying this, too, because it was Tim Stahl just kind of flying past him at this point, so I was going to say I was really enjoying that, but that was a pretty easy-looking pass.
And Burris is sticking right with him as they were making their way down the front straight, so I'm not sure if he just had a bit of oversteer and he couldn't quite get on the power, and that allowed that boost that we saw from Stoll, or what happened there. But John Kelly now looking to put a move on Jerry Motorsdorf, gets it done very easily going into turn 1, so that moves Kelly up into 7th place after trying to recover from his spin coming out of 130R early on in the race.
Whoa, close. There's almost a... someone almost got a new nickname there, but we'll hold off a little bit. We got a solid train of McLarens right now. Russell Cow, Troy Harder, Anthony Muniz, and James Cullen, all about a second apart, second and a half apart. Cullen's going to use, there's a little bit of grip out there. It's not ideal, but you can tell he's getting a little loose, trying to push it to a little closer to Muniz and Todd Carver, and in an actual battle this time, so that's good to see. Not just driving around like a Sunday drive in a Corvette there in Brazil.
He's been able to stick with Maulana. Oh!
And stick he did.
He did, yeah. He stuck like a magnet to the back of that car, and unfortunately made some contact. I'm not sure how hard that was. I mean, from the camera view we had, pretty hard, but we'll have to see if there's any damage. Troy Harder, meanwhile, trying to work his way back up the field. But tried to take a little peek on the outside going into Degner 1 there on Russell Cow. Couldn't get it done. Now Colin McLean under some heavy pressure from Chris Damron Jr. now heading down towards Spoon. Colin McLean been doing a very good job of holding that P2 spot. He's been under heavy pressure from Troy Harder for many laps. Those guys were sticking very close together, and now he's under some more heavy pressure from Chris Damron Jr. And Damron looks like he's pretty close. He's going to have a nice run heading down towards 130R. Let's see if they try and go side by side. He's going to pull out. He's going to try and see if he's got the drag done to get alongside. Yeah, it looks like they're going to be alongside. Is Colin McLean going to force the issue? Oh, they're going to go side by side. And that is how you go side by side through 130R. McLean looks like he's going to hold the position. And yeah, he does. He keeps the position going into the Castiel Triangle. So that was... Oh, wow.
What was that? That was weird. Looked like a tire went down.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't even know if they got any damage from that, but it
might have been a graphical bug. It's hard to say. Maybe just when he put his wheel off there, but it looks like McLean's still holding onto that position. John Kelly getting by Tim McLeish.
Yeah, a great bit of driving there between McLean and Damron as they made their way through that final section of Suzuka. That was fun to watch. Looks like McLeish going to try and battle his way back past John Kelly, as Kelly had to slow up there for Stoll in the Corvette. But with both of them trying to drag their way past, like Brian pointed out, it is a medium downforce circuit here for the majority of the HPD, so it's a little bit tougher to pass the Corvettes on the long straights.
Oh, Cullen gets Muniz loose, or Muniz gets loose on his own. Hard to tell, but Cullen's able to get past. Were you helped there?
I honestly can't remember if I was or not.
I don't remember a lot of this. Oh, that was Russell Cow, was it?
Yeah, it was. That was heavy impact. Yep. And I'm guessing he caught too much curve coming out of Degner 2. And yeah, if you're not careful, that can happen. So unfortunately, that's probably the end of his race. I mean, these cars are tough. Oh, and a great pass there by Stoll on the outside of Jeffries. And Victor Beltran going to sneak his car through there as well.
Wow, that was cool. Obviously, any of those drivers don't want to have to do that again, but that was definitely cool. And here we go back to the battle for second place here in the... interesting strategy there by Damron. He's going to try to get the draft off the LMP, but doesn't quite work for him. Colin using all the track and then some. Let's see if Damron's able to get a run out of the Casio Triangle. For some reason they're showing Russell Cow in second place. That's not correct because he must have just exited out to the pits.
Yeah, he is being shown in the pit lane, and yeah, okay, there he goes.
Yeah, that would have been to him, yeah.
strange quirk of the timing, but it looks like Damron Jr. not quite. McLean fighting for every inch of it, but clean as a... I don't know, something that's clean, but that was some good racing. Metaphor fail.
That was a brilliant pass there. Colin McLean didn't give him 1 inch, and he was fighting him all the way to the apex, or the corner exit of turn 2, but that was a great move there by Damron.
Yeah.
Now it looks like Jeremy Burr is going to try and go side-by-side through 130R with Marty Jeffries. Gets the pass done just before they make the turn in, so that moves him up a spot.
Yeah, Colin didn't give it an inch, but unfortunately Damron was using metric and used the centimeter to get by. Anyways, good battle here between Harder and Colin. See if Colin's able to do anything with Troy here.
We take a lot of exit curb there, and so that's going to drop Cullen back a little bit. Not going to give him an opportunity coming here, but oh, he's great under braking going into the hairpin. That really helps him close the gap between himself and Troy Harder. Looks like there's just a lonely LMP going to come through and won't really interrupt their battle at all. He should be by before Spoon.
That was a good kudos for our cybernetic director there, because a really good shot going from the front nose of Colin's car to the rear of Harder's car as they went through the exit of Degner 2 there.
And Cullen's very close as they exit 130-yard, not quite close enough to make a little attempt on the inside going into the Castiel Triangle, so Troy Harder able to hold on, but it looks like it's just going to be a matter of time, James Cullen. We know he's a fast driver. He's been a fast driver in pretty much every car that he's competed in the ISRA, so let's see if Troy Harder can do some Colin McLean style defending. Looks like not. Colin's going to go by easily into turn 1.
Yeah, you got to. Here's the thing with that too: is you have the confidence in your abilities to be able to hold it on the outside there. Because if you make a small mistake while trying to hold it out there, you might be able to end your race by going off or colliding with the other drivers. So it's a calculated risk. McLean was able to do it. Troy Harder unfortunately decided, well, unfortunately for us, I mean probably fortunately for him, that decided to stay on the track and continue his racing.
Looks like Burris is into the pits here as Jeffries is going to get by. We've got plenty of time left, still 45 minutes in the race.
Well, I'm pretty sure that all Corvettes should be able to make it on fuel here, so we did notice that wing all bent up on Burris's car, so he might be pitting early. Oh, and miscommunication there between Kelly and Lauren Bateman, and that results him into the tire wall, and that's going to be the end of Kelly's race. That's some severe damage on the front of his LMP Porsche.
Alright, well, we got just over 44 minutes left here. This is a 75-minute race, I believe it was. But anyways, we'll find about halfway, kind of an idea where you start seeing LMP pit stops, scheduled ones anyway. McLaren's and the Corvettes, as someone got well out of the way there. I think that was Todd Carver, maybe. But anyways, the point is we'll be able to get a good idea in some pit stops shortly, as Jeremy Burris is coming out of the Corvette, but got Wyatt Foster with a ridiculous lead up front on the HPDs. Dimas Milana, after that contact with Todd Carver, you know what we're talking about here, still leading the Corvettes, and Corey Davis with about a 13-second lead over Chris Damron Jr. in the McLarens. And as my colleagues have passed out, we'll just continue to follow on with Victor Beltran here, currently in 7th behind Tim McLeish, and Rent Snyder having a good run in 5th and 6th right now. So there's Ed Forrest 1 coming through the field here. Looks like that's Anthony Muniz in the McLaren, snaking through Dunlop into the first Degner, and there's a huge gaggle of cars up ahead.
Yeah, the traffic definitely going to work to Lance's advantage.
It's actually Ryan Corns up ahead, it looks like, in the 4th position there in the LMP. Just past some of these other guys. They're turning into the hairpin.
Wow, it's been it's finally a broadcast where we haven't seen Ryan Corns, or we haven't focused on. Well, I guess never mind. We did focus on him earlier.
Yeah, for a little bit there. We just didn't talk about him all that much. He's busy taking care of a small human right now.
And I've just kind of realized this. McLeish is currently trying to chase down Lance Snyder, who we can just see up in front. And Lance Snyder is actually looking to chase down Ryan Corns. There's a car in between Matthew Voigt, and we saw him collide earlier with Rob Ainscoe in the S's. So he's a lap down to these guys and not battling with them. So he's not really in the way right now. Seems to be keeping a fairly good pace despite the damage that's on his car.
It is good to see that delicious steam whistle sponsored car there driving around. There's Stephen Clark driving on the Corvette there. Close racing with
Chris Dorsey, who's gone off the circuit there. You can see him just rejoining right now.
That's why. There's Tim Stoll blasting into the pits at 1,000 miles an hour. Pretty sure he blew the hell out of that speed limiter there.
Yeah, that looks like
There's no way that wasn't a penalty.
Yeah.
He was braking well past those cones. Yeah, actually, this is a pit lane here where those cones kind of sneak up on you. It looks like they're a little farther on, and that knows something. They're right there, so you really got to practice that pit entry. And I'm going to guess, I'm no official here, and nor do we have word, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a black flag penalty for Tim. He'll have to come back in the game.
And with the GT traffic that these LMPs are working their way through, McLeish has managed to really close the gap on Snyder. That's now down to about half a second or so. You can see, well, it's less than that now once they're a little bit held up behind Ty Carver as they make their way through the second portion of Spoon. And Carver's actually dropped quite a ways behind Dimas Maulana now, the gap about 4.5 seconds. So he was holding steady at about 2 seconds once they had their contact in turn 2. So I'm not sure if he had a bit of an off or what caused that bit of a gap, but a little bit unfortunate because they were having such a close battle. Hopefully that closes up later in the race.
I should just notice it going through there too. When you're coming in an LMP behind a Corvette going through 130R, those Corvettes, Todd Carver's in the pits right now, those Corvettes go through 130R really slow compared to the McLarens, and especially compared to the other LMPs, so you really got to watch it. If you go in through there too hard, you can very easily run up the back of a Corvette coming through or out of 130R. And Tim McLeish and Lance Snyder really hustling the hell out of these cars right now, battling hard. And I think we actually have Beltran's there. He is in the background. Let's close it up a little bit. And they're only about 1.5 seconds behind Corns right now. There he is, in the kind of out of focus of the front of the screen there in the silver and red car. Kaiser Rennsport, number 5.
That was a nice opportunistic move there by Snyder to try and get another GT car between himself and Tim McLeish. And you can see, oh yeah, that's the GT1 leader, Dimas Maulana there. So
yeah, battling hard with Todd Carver, so he can't give up time. But I mean, it's kind of hard to balance the two.
And Stephen Clark is passing, must be John Kuzlin, who's making his pit stop. Yep, there he is. He's exiting the pits now, so he exits in P7 in the GT1 class. Oh, and there's Corey Davis, who we've seen maybe twice so far this race. He's still comfortably leading the GT3 class.
That's what happens when you do that. You don't get to see you.
You know,
oh, he's in the pits, actually.
All right, well, he pits from first place,
Right at the
about
halfway
14 and a
mark.
half 14 and a half seconds in front of Chris Damron Jr. So still a very sizable gap there between those two drivers. We'll have to see how their pit strategies play out later on in the race. But meanwhile, in LMP2, Snyder and McLeish still very, very close. They've managed to get through traffic and stay very close together. Don't even need to mention the gap because you can see right there it's about 2 car lengths. So these guys having a great fight. And also Victor Beltran isn't too far behind those guys as well. He's dropped a little bit back. You can see him there in the picture. Dropped a little bit back with traffic, but he's about a second and a half off, so he could regain or rejoin this battle between these two guys at any moment if they catch a bit of traffic.
One thing I'm just going to tell everyone at home, you know what's not cool? Farts in basements. Just not ideal.
And there's your random fact of the day from Brian Carey, brought to you by Z1 Some Wheel.
That's a... Man, I can just picture Russell at home banging his head against the desk listening to this.
Somehow,
Worst
I think
product
you have
placement.
only yourself to blame.
That's
Wow,
where-
Snyder looked like he was doing pretty well there, but McLeish caught right up to the back pin through the chicane. Let's see if he's able to get the power down.
Look, Snyder.
Oh, Snyder into the pits, so yes, he will get by there.
So like I say, pit stop strategy, we're at the halfway point, so you're going to start seeing pit stops any time now really for well, pretty much any of these cars here, but this is kind of when the window really opens up. Note for Corey Davis there in the McLaren, he pitted pretty much right at halfway, which is a good way to kind of split your tires, make sure they're equally fresh for the entire race. I mean, there's a number of different ways you can pit early, get some track position by pitting really early and get on those tires first, or you can try to last as long as possible and kind of do a splash of fuel and maybe save some time that way. So really a lot of different ways you can kind of come about that, these pit stop strategies, and it's sort of the same with the LMPs as well. Start with light fuel, tires early, get some quick laps in there, run the tires down, really do a shorter stop towards the end. It's all different here. Now, Cullen up behind Colin McLean.
So it's taken him a while, and pit stops have played a little bit into this, but James Cullen finally back up on the podium. He's fighting McLean for P2 at the moment. Of course, these guys are elevated by one position, with Corey Davis pitting at right at halfway. Neither of those guys have taken their pit stops yet. Lauren Bateman must be passing a car in the pit lane. Yep, it's Marty Jeffries. So this is pass for, well, third place.
Should also apologize. I'm battling a battle of the yawns right now. That's how you talk when you are yawning uncontrollably for periods of time. So, I'm gonna try to see how I can nip that one in the bud. I have to fire up the coffee machine here in the booth.
We need to get us an intern to take care of that.
Yeah, I know what's going on here. Yeah, I had a pretty hard workout at lunch today, and pretty much can't feel my legs at this point. So there's body's kind of rebelling as looks like Cullen's. Here we go again. There's Damron last time, and this time Cullen, and Cullen's had some experience in that move, but Cullen getting a better run through the corner there, and they're going to be side by side through here. Nope. Cullen's got the exit. It looks like he's got a good run coming off the exit too. We'll see if Cullen's able to do anything with this. No, we won't, because we're going to go to Marty Jeffries.
So they were fighting close when Burris jumped into the pits. Burris now jumping off the track, and Jeffries passed.
And you saw him just out there. Well, actually, I'll get to that point later. McLean's going to try and hold on to that position against James Cullen. They're going to be side by side going into the first portion of S's turn 3. They're still side by side as they head on towards turn 4 and 5. Oh, bit of contact there between the two drivers. Cullen holds it on the track. Oh, I say holds it on, gets a little bit too wide. It looks like he keeps it out of the tires. But
very skillful for Cullen there.
Yeah, it was very tough to keep those guys to drive those cars side by side through that section. That is definitely a one line section of the corner. Well, it's obviously not one line because we saw those two drivers take it too wide, but very, very difficult to get too wide through that section, and unfortunately there just wasn't quite enough room for both of them. Cullen now is down a position to Troy Harder, and he'll have to make up, or try and make up some of that time. He definitely has great pace because he's made his way through the field a couple of times now, but just had a few offs throughout the race, and it's forced him back. Nice onboard. Oh, well, I was gonna say nice onboard tread as they were heading down towards 130R. Colin looks like he's got a nice run and uses a bit of draft, and it looks like he's gonna be able to go side by side. Or last time these guys made contact as they went side by side through 130R. This time, Troy Harder decides to yield to Cullen as he makes their way through that corner, and that means Cullen's back up into third position.
Yeah, Cullen's got some rage speed right now, and he's looking to go back and try to resume his battle with McLaren right now. Nothing worse than when you're in a close battle with someone there and you make a mistake or get bumped or whatever and drop back and you have to fight it all back again. I guess it's just kind of fun, but definitely want to get back to that battle as soon as possible.
And going on board now with Stephen Clark, who we've seen a couple of times this race. He's got John Kuzlin just in front of him, but I don't believe Clark has made his pit stop yet, and Kuzlin has, so it's not technically a battle for position once Clark makes his pit stop. Yeah, there's a good indicator that he hasn't. There's a nice dead bug on the windscreen.
Yeah, it looks like the windscreen in other places is dirty too, because that is an interesting... Actually, it's one thing I was watching a Le Mans documentary recently there, and that's the one thing, especially during the night when you have the glare, or like even at dusk, is they have tear-offs in the windscreens, but it really starts playing a factor when you're in those closed cockpit cars and they start getting dirty. Wow, voice just broke there real bad. That's embarrassing. But you start getting those windscreens dirt and bugs and whatnot, it becomes extremely difficult to see.
Oh, a bit of an off there, I think, for John Kuzlin. He managed to recover without too much of a problem, but you can see that there was some dust there, and he kicked up from going off wide. As we're heading now, going through Dunlop now. If you go off, we saw Burris lose a position because he did. If you go off, you might be able to hold the car together without flying off into the tire barrier as you go on board with Burris now, but it's very, very difficult to get the car back on the circuit. What tends to happen is those two tires that you've got on the dirt tend to like to stick there and go the opposite direction that you're turning them, and so it takes a long time to get back on, and so you're almost down towards the small straight before Degner before you can get the car with all fours back on the tarmac. But Burris seems to be keeping pretty good pace here with Marty Jeffries after he lost the position from going a bit wide through Dunlop. He's only about a second back at the moment, and he's got a comfortable gap between... Well, actually, he's got a very comfortable gap because Chuck Chambliss is a lap down to him. So doesn't have to worry about anyone in front. He can focus on purely his speed and catching up with catching up and passing, rather, with Marty Jeffries.
It's actually only Chuck's 34 seconds behind Jeremy.
Oh, yes, my mistake. Yep, that was one lap to the leader. Yep.
Alright, so coming out of the final corner here onto the front straight, which is very actually, don't say from here, but it's actually very steeply downhill. So your top speed going into turn one is a lot higher than it is at most other tracks in the same sort of configuration. You get a couple extra miles per hour going down into that corner.
Yeah, very interesting to yeah, very interesting to listen to the engine note of the Corvettes as they exit the Castiel Triangle there. They're very, very gentle on the throttle and getting the power down to power down that long straight towards turn 1. It's in the McLarens, it's much different. They are able to get on the power much more, how do you say that? Much more quickly? That doesn't sound right, but anyway, much faster than the Corvettes are. And now James Cullen, we're not on board to hear the McLaren's engine note through Castiel Chicane, but Cullen back up now with Colin McLean. And it didn't take him very long, did it? Only about 3 laps or so, and he's already back fighting for that second position. He's got a great run coming out of the final corner, going down towards turn 1. It's going to be alongside, so I think he's going to have it.
You'd think so, but let's see. Yep, no, he's got it. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, all those problems probably frustrating Cullen, but definitely giving us a much more interesting race than it would otherwise be with him leading the whole way.
Yep, I'm a big fan of that.
And now back with my favorite Corvette, Jeremy Burris, still trying to pass Marty Jeffries. He managed to close the gap by about half a second or so. So he's
I think you're contractually obligated to say that your favorite Corvette is Todd Carver.
Oh yes, I should. My second favorite Corvette, Jeremy Burris. I think that'll keep me safe from the lawyers.
They have like lawsuits ready to go if we do not publicly support Todd Carver at all times.
Now, Jeffrey's got a little bit squirrely there, getting on the power, and that's going to let Burris get on an inside, and he will probably have it through turn 1 here. Yes, he does. Marty Jeffries wanted to look to see if he could undercut, but unfortunately he was a little bit too close, and had to check up, got a little off track, and all around spun it.
Yeah, that inside curve there, I don't think I've ever hit that before, but yeah, it really seemed to unsettle the car when he caught the curb there on the inside of turn 1. That's what sent him around. Really unfortunate because those guys were having a very close battle, but we'll have to see. He's dropped quite a few seconds back. I think he's about 14 seconds back now. We'll see what happens. Maybe he'll catch back up, but take a look at Todd Carver now. He's still running in second place, but Dinos Maulana is in the pit lane, and that means that Carver is passed. So he pitted from second place about 4 seconds back, and see Maulana just now getting to turn 1, so bit of a gap there between the two top cars in GT1. And here Victor Beltran has spun off the track at the hairpin and loses a spot to Lance Snyder there in the HPD. So a couple guys having incidents here and losing positions a little bit after halfway through the race.
And let's see here. If there's any other things, what happened?
Oh, nothing. It's just there's somebody.
Now something happened. That definitely just happened. I didn't see who that was. Was that Burris that went off there?
No, I think that might have been Chris Dorsey. Oh, and there's me off.
Get back on the track. There's a lollygagging around on the outside. All right, so Wyatt Foster's just come out of the pits for his, I assume his one and only pit stop.
Although with his 1 minute and 30-second gap between himself and Gralty, who I don't think we've really seen him this whole race, but he could afford to take a second pit stop if he wanted to.
Probably a third pit stop if he really wanted to.
And Beltran now looking to battle his way back past Lance Snyder after his off at the hairpin. Looks like he's managed to get close back up with Snyder fairly quickly, under a lap. I'm not sure if traffic might have had a part in that. We unfortunately didn't see it. But Beltran's had a couple offs so far this race, but he's managed to fight his way back up through the field a couple times, currently running in 7th position, so he has pretty good pace. We'll have to see how it compares to Lance Snyder, who is actually quite a bit back from Tim McLeish, who both those drivers were fighting very, very closely earlier in the race. Oh, and here's a nice battle developing. Todd Carver has taken the lead from Dimas Maulana and GT1 through pit stops, but a bit of traffic came by, and I think that held up Carver a little bit. And that allowed Dimas Maulana to catch back up within a lap or two. And now you can see it's 0.3 of a second separating those two guys.
That is indeed, and I'm lost for stuff to say right now. I'm going to go and try to grab myself a coffee. I will be back in 2 minutes while the Keurig fires up, and I will be right back.
Oh, I'm so sad that you use one of those things.
What's wrong with the Keurig?
Everyone at work makes fun of the people who use it.
Well, I make fun of the people who don't use it, so ha ha ha! Victory for me. Anyways, I'll be right back.
Well, looks like Brian's going to be missing out on a pretty good battle here for the GT1 class lead. Ty Carver, as we know, was holding right onto the back of Maulana as they were racing very close in the first stint of the race. Then there a bit of contact going through turns 1 and 2. It doesn't really seem to affect or damage their cars at all. So that's good to see. Ty Carver overshooting his braking a little bit going into the Castiel Triangle. That allows Maulana to really close the gap. But he was a little bit, kind of caught him at a bad spot on the corner exit. Wasn't really able to get as much power down as he would have liked. But he's still very, very close, heading down towards turn 1, using a bit of draft. Carver better under the braking though, and Maulana couldn't get the momentum he needed to get and try and drive past on the inside. As we've seen earlier in the race, very difficult to do going into turn 1, like Brian pointed out. The outside line generally is faster if you're going side by side. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I'm interested to see if how evenly paced these two drivers are. They've been very close so far this season, although I think Maulana might have a bit of an edge on Carver at some circuits. So I'm genuinely curious to see how this turns out. And now back to the Snyder-Beltran battle as they head through the Castiel chicane and then powering up over the timing line. Beltran managed to catch up to Snyder very quickly after he had his off going through the hairpin, but Snyder's done a very good job of staying consistent throughout this entire race. I don't think we've actually seen him make a mistake so far, which is, I guess that's classic Lance Snyder, isn't it? He's probably one of our most clean drivers. Well, he won the Clean Driver Championship last season and got himself a nice prize there from our sponsor, Z1 Sim Wheel.
He's deceptively dirty.
We don't ever see it, I guess. It's all off camera.
Yeah, after the race, I'll find you at your home and kick you in the shins.
And Stephen Clark there in the Corvette getting out of the way of this lead battle, which is very courteous of him.
I just made a quick return while the water boils because I didn't have it plugged in. So just the inconvenience sometimes of these products. It's unreal. But like we just got, I think everyone's probably made their pit stops by this point, I would guess. 19 minutes left. Some of the, the
McLarens are so, top 3-4 guys in the McLaren class have yet to pit, so they're stretching their fuel as long as, you can't go the whole. Okay, yep, so Cullen is going to go by, and he'll probably lead a lap unless he pits the next time round. But yeah, these top guys in the McLarens pushing their fuel quite a ways. Of course, with the 90% fuel limit now imposed on that class, you can't actually go the entire race distance without stopping, but you can go just about the entire way. And now Beltran putting some heavy pressure on Snyder's to head through the Castiel chicane. Snyder's been doing a very good job of staying consistent and holding him off, not giving him an opportunity to get by. But Beltran looks like he has some pretty good pace throughout that last sector because he manages to close up. It's going to take a little peek going on into turn 1, not nearly close enough. You really have to be all the way alongside, and even then, like Brian said, the faster lane is on the outside, so hard to pull off a pass there going into turn 1, especially in the LMPs. But he gave it a bit of a look nonetheless. And now back to the battle at the top of the GT1 class. These guys been this far apart for the last 3 or 4 laps now.
Alright, I'll seriously be right back at this point. It should be ready in like 30 seconds.
And this race will be over by the time the caffeine kicks in, but that's okay. Maulana very good under braking there through the Casio chicane. See how he gets able to get the power down now, heading out over the final corner, powering down towards the timing line. Carver much better at getting the power down, at least this lap, and he's going to have a comfortable gap as they head down into turn one. Looks like another lapped Corvette. I missed who it was, but hopefully he is able to back off like we saw Stephen Clark do as they headed down towards 130R, so he doesn't interrupt this battle. And, oh, look, they're making their way through someone that could be inheriting the lead once everyone makes their pit stops. Corey Davis, we'll have to see how that plays out. He's pitted quite a long time ago, so we'll have to see. Ooh, and Beltran actually making it look on the outside going through the Casio triangle. Oh, it tries to pinch him off at the out as he exited the final port of the chicane and made a little bit of contact there with Snyder. I'm not sure if it caused any damage, but there's some pretty sensitive arrow at the front of the LMP like that. You can see that was it was Chuck Chambliss pulling out of the way for these lead guys. Oh, and Carver off and wide going through the hairpin. It's going to allow Dimas Maulana to get past, and it's going to drop Todd Carver back at least a couple seconds as he recovers from that. So not really the way we wanted to see that battle play out. Hopefully he's able to get back up with Maulana and let that battle resume, but that's unfortunate for Todd Carver. He was doing a good job of holding him off. Also just want to point out that James Cullen made his pit stop last time by, so he has fallen down to P4 and GT3. Colin McLean still the last driver that hasn't made a pit stop in the McLarens, and he is only about 11.5 seconds in front of Corey Davis in P2, who already made his pit stop. So once McLean pits, Davis will retake the lead of GT3, and he'll have a fairly sizable 13-second gap between himself and Danron, who is running in third at the moment.
It's actually good to see you, and it's good to see his battle still going on here with Beltran got ahead of Lance there, but between the running up and down the stairs and cranking my knee on my damn desk, I don't think I really needed the coffee in the first place, but I've got it anyway.
And damage doesn't seem to be too severe at the front of Snyder's car. Looks like there might be a little bit that I can see, but I'm not sure how that's affecting his car. Ooh, as Beltran running quite wide as they went through the final corner, but Snyder's able to keep pace with him. And I'm not sure, maybe that actually, oh no, he's just being a bit defensive, I think, holding that inside line there as they head through turns 1 and 2. For a second I thought he might be pulling off and letting them by because of damage or something, but no, he holds on. Oh, and a quick onboard shot there with Ryan Corns. He's running in 5th place at the moment, and he's actually behind Tim McLeish. And McLeish doing very, very well, running in 4th place. Not sure if he's made a pit stop or not. If he hasn't, he's really taken his fuel pretty far. I think the LMPs have roughly 50 minutes of fuel, so he's kind of right at that time where he'd be needing to pit if he hasn't already.
Is there anywhere else on the track that is in contention right now? Because the LMP sure aren't in contention up front, but yeah, looks like we're just waiting for Colin to make his pit stop in the McLarens and enjoy this good battle with Lance Snyder right now. He's really holding on to him.
On board the 75 of Snyder, well, quickly as they power their way down towards 130R. Looks like, yeah, there is a bit of damage to the driver's left of Snyder's car. Not obviously can't tell how much that's affecting him. It doesn't seem to be too bad as he's able to stick pretty well to the back of Beltran, but it might be hurting him just enough so he's not able to get close enough and make a pass attempt on him. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. 13 minutes left in the race, so not a whole lot of time left. And McLaren really taking his fuel all the way down to the limit. Wonder if he's okay, he's in the pit lane now, so I'll have to see. Maybe he's going to stick on or just do a bit of fuel and forget about the tires. Try and minimize his pit stop as much time in the pit lane as much as possible. Yeah, I didn't see the car go up on the air jacks.
Nope, definitely still on the ground, so let's see in just a few moments he takes off.
It's going to be really good for track position, but it'll be really hard for him to hold on to that car right now.
Well, it's a bold move. Let's see how it works out for him. He's got 12 minutes left that he needs to keep it on track.
Yep, James just got past him.
Yep, that's a strategy I tried at Silverstone and didn't really work out all that well for me. I mean, it didn't. I tried to gain positions with it. I had gotten so far back that it wasn't, even if I took tires or if I didn't take tires, it wasn't going to matter. But I found out that I'd much rather take some tires than not take tires. But also, I think I had a bit more time left in the race when I made my stop. So with only about 12 minutes left in the race, that's not a whole lot, many more laps that he has to do. So we'll have to see.
I have to say, pretty much every time I've tried something tricky with tires, it just hasn't worked out.
I always find it better to have fresh tires whenever you get the chance. Even though the LMP, for instance, you probably run pretty decent lap times with low fuel and relatively worn tires, but because I think these tires, I mean, I don't know how well iRacing models them to the real things, but are meant to run multiple stints without being changed. So.
Yeah, one time in an endurance event, I made the mistake of trying to just change the back tires on the Miata. Man, that was a horrible mistake.
Didn't it take like 5 minutes to change the tires on that thing?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to just change too. But the thing was so unbalanced after that, it was just undrivable.
Well, Lance Sutter's managed to stick pretty well with Victor Beltran. He's up to about a second back now, so looks like he had, I think that damage might be affecting him a little bit, and he's able to stick with him, but I don't think, unless we see another mistake from Beltran, probably not going to be able to get the pass made. Under 10 minutes now, so not a whole lot of time left. I did notice Morsdorf just in the background. He's about 4 seconds back from these guys, so I guess if both of them somehow screw up, he could stand to gain a couple positions from them. Ryan Corns is about 3.5 seconds back from Tim McLeish, who has to have made his pit stop now. So that is actually for position. Guess we'll have to see how that plays out in these final minutes. And pretty much everywhere else, the positions are decided. McLarens are pretty well spread out. Closest gap that I can see is Troy Harder and Colin McLean. Both those guys about 3.5 to 4 seconds back. And other than that, pretty much everyone is settled. Unfortunately, Todd Carver has dropped 10 seconds back from Dimas Maulana after having his off in the hairpin. So we most likely won't see that battle resume, which is unfortunate. Both those guys were very well paced. Oh, and Chambliss having a big moment there through the Dunlop curve. He did, yep, and did a nice job of holding onto that car as he made almost a four-wheel drift going through the corner to avoid Chambliss. Chambliss slowly getting back on the track and is also doing a bit of time warp to try and settle his car down or something.
Hey, who took his number 15? Dimas took his number 15.
Ah.
What's that? So that's probably why that happened. He had 16 too many numbers on there. See if Lance can get by before 1:30. Yeah, looks like Anthony will let him by. Anthony's 25 seconds behind right now, Troy Harder, and a solid 19 laps ahead of Russell Cow, so no real need to push the issue there. We might just start doing some donuts in the middle of the track for a second and probably be in pretty good position.
That's a good way to get a little bit more screen time, I think.
Yeah. Just throw up a big smoke screen in the chicane there. Just run people's graphics cards straight into the ground. Also just realizing that coffee is going to make it really difficult for me to go to sleep, but
and the race is, I made a point that just as you were leaving, it must have been that the race will be over before the coffee actually really kicks in.
Yeah, like I said, the running up and down the stairs and cranking me on the knee in the desk did probably did the trick for me. So next time I'll just hit my elbow or something like that with a hammer. Well, that couldn't hurt, right? Oh wait, no, that would probably hurt a lot, actually. Oh, Victor's off.
Beltran off, and that allows Lance Snyder to get by. What about Morrisdorf? No, he's not quite close enough to take advantage of that, the mistake there from Beltran. But I guess the patience that Snyder had for just kind of sticking behind and staying close to Beltran has paid off. And with that mistake, that gives Snyder a gap to close to about 2 seconds, and now he's going to be coming under pressure from Morrisdorf, I think. All right, yeah, I thought he might have made a little mistake there and gone off, but he's managed to hold it together as they head down towards 130R. Looks like that's Todd Carver up in the Corvette, so I'm not sure how that will play as a factor here with Morrisdorf. Oh, he's going to get by very easily. Looks like Todd might have let him by there. And Beltran might actually have to do a bit of defending here in the last 5 minutes of the race.
Looks like, actually I don't know if that's going to be the recording or not, because it looks like the guys have again that kind of like symmetrical right rear wing end plate damage, which I think sometimes happens in the replay files here. I don't know if that's actual damage.
Oh, Beltran is again. Off. Oh wow! So he's I guess he got himself a little bit rattled after losing that spot, or making that mistake and losing that spot to Snyder, and that allows Jerry Morrisdorf to easily get by without having to put up a fight.
Yeah, but no, Voigt's 13 laps behind him, so he can pretty much do whatever right now, and maybe just push back to see if he can get into the battle, but he's in no danger of losing any more positions. And Milano with a comfortable 14-second lead right now. Of course, we're only going to follow him for about 10 seconds because, again, contractually we're not allowed to follow anyone in the Corvettes more than 3% of the average Todd Carver viewing.
And on board with Jerry Morrisdorf. He must be fighting. Yeah, he's got Lance Snyder in front of him, but Snyder's a good 2.5 seconds up the road. So this really isn't a battle, and with 4 minutes left on the clock, this is probably, what, 3 laps left?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell because it's based off where wide it is on the track, but... Yeah!
Whoa!
Look good! I was going to bring Victor right back to him. Maybe.
He had fallen a little bit further back, it seems. Right now, the gap looks like it's about 2.5 seconds, so he must have made another mistake at some point. Or he got held up behind a Corvette, actually, I think. So that must be what cost him that time. Here's a good look at Jeremy Burris, my second favorite Corvette in the GT1 class. He's got John Kuzlin not too far in front of him. Oh, and Jerry Morrisdorf getting held up a bit there by Troy Harder going through the S's. That's going to allow Victor Beltran to try and close that gap up as he sneaks by on the inside to head down towards the Dunlap curve. Gap now down to close to 1 second, 1.2 seconds at the moment. So a couple laps left. A bit of traffic or a slight mistake from Morsdorf, and he could find himself back up another position. Lance Steiner, meanwhile, has taken that mistake, or that position that he managed to get back and run with it. He's about 21 seconds in front of Jerry Morsdorf. Oh no, 5 seconds. I'm reading that wrong. 5 seconds. But that's still, with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, that's a fairly comfortable gap.
In the grand scheme of things, 5 seconds, 20 seconds, it's really not that big a deal. It's a gap.
It's close, yeah.
It's within the margin of error of the universe.
Yeah.
And according to Einstein's theory of relativity and something else that Stephen Hawking may have wrote, I believe I have won the race.
In one of the alternate universes, you win every race.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is,
Sadly, that is not this universe. And
it's not the one this Brian Carey is in, but in one of the other alternate universes, there is a Brian Carey that wins every motor race out there.
No, this race I break my knee trying to get coffee. So, not nearly as cool.
Now, Brian, I think you probably hurt yourself more than, well, most racers do when they have big accidents.
Possibly true and sad at the same time, yes.
Oh, and there's the white flag, so Wyatt Foster has crossed the timing line, and he's way in front of Jeremy Burris, who we're on board with right now. There's a good look at the speed difference here between medium downforce on the HPD and the Corvette top speed, and Burris easing up on the throttle a little bit there as they got down towards, or closer towards 130R to make it a little bit easier for Tim McLeish to make his way through.
Yep, so these guys will all finish this lap and then do one more. I guess Jeremy's not a lot far behind Kuzlin, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere close enough unless John makes a mistake, and John doesn't do that all that often.
Also looks like they were able to mostly fix the rear wing of Burris when he made his pit stop. It doesn't look quite as bent as it did when he made his pit stop.
There's Senor Corns driving around the outside of Burris there. Gap down to Tim McLeish, about 3 seconds, but I don't think he's going to be able to do much more than that.
I wonder, I'd be interested to see why that gap is actually there in the first place, because Corns was comfortably in front of McLeish. I guess maybe miscalculation with fuel or something, and he just took too much. Could be, I'm not sure.
Something like that. Yeah, because Tim was battling, he was with Lance and Ryan and Victor, and he just all of a sudden he came out way ahead there, so pretty good job there. Is Wyatt Foster taking the victory in by about 1 minute 20 seconds there, and Stephen Clark coming across the line in 7th. That locks that position in for him. Anthony Muniz coming across in 6th. Very hard-fought race. Good solid 24 lap gap over Russell Cow. Brent Briles, 3rd place podium for Brent Briles. That's actually that's a big one. And looks like Lauren Bateman there also another podium, 3rd place. The Corvette's coming across, and here comes it's Isabel coming into the line. Kuzlin, Burris. I wonder if John's running out of fuel or if he's missing a part of his car. Let's see if Burris can get him. This might be something,
not a
folks.
Chance. Not by the straight. Maybe by the turn, but by then it's going to be too late.
Well, just in case he was running out of fuel, then he might have been able to get him. But no, Kuzlin holds on, 4th place. Good finish there, all of a sudden. And Jerry Morsdorf close to Snyder, but not close enough. He'll have to settle for 7th. Corey Davis taking his first win of the year in the McLaren, so that's a good victory for him, considering that championship rival Russell Cow dropped down to 7th this race.
And James Cullen finishing there in third place. So after falling down the field several times, gets it up to third. Dan Rana finishing in second. Yep, nice win there by Maulana. Carver will finish in second place once he crosses the line.
Demis racing Demis in the LMPs there, but seems to be doing all right for himself in the Corvettes this year. And there he comes, Todd Carver. So good race all around there, and Dan, championship.
All right, we got to do this quick because the beginning was quick. Wyatt Foster still perfect score, 75 points. Daniel Gralty down by 9 points in second. Big gap down to third, but Brent Riles just beating off Mike Young. Then Ryan Huff also right in there in fifth. Another little jump to Brian Carey. Lance Snyder doing pretty well for Lance Snyder there in the points. Then Dimas Moana, again, perfect score. Todd Carver, 4 points behind him. Jeremy Burris, 15 down in third. And a little jump to Warren Bateman. Another little jump to Tim Stoll. John Kuzlin looks like he's going to be challenging Stoll for fifth. And then another big jump to Brendan Mercer, Mike Kelly, Stephen Clark, and Marty Jeffries running up the top 10. James Cullen, the first without a perfect score, 71 points for him. Just very closely trailing behind is Chris Dameron Jr., 2 points down. Corey Davis in third, with 6 points down from James Cullen. Jump to Russell Cowan fourth, and Anthony Muniz another 10-point jump. Troy Harder and Robin Ainsko tied for sixth. Beck Colin McLean and Daniel Burness tied for eighth. And there we have the standings. We'll have the schedule pop up in a moment. We're going to be at the lovely track of... where did we just race? Oh yeah, VIR. We did that last night.
He tried to knock it out of his memory because it was hard.
No, I'm doing all right. Okay, so VIR, we just got that one in the bag last night, so we'll get the video out to you as soon as we can. And on to Sebring next. Then the second enduro of the season at Road Atlanta. That should be good. Watkins Glen Classic Boot, Brands Hatch, and then closing it out at Road America.
Actually looking forward to all those tracks. I mean, that's a good solid lineup to the end of the year there.
Yeah, it definitely is. A bunch of the tracks were up to vote for the membership, and they've chosen wisely.
Yeah, that's why democracy works.
All right, well...
Why it doesn't work is American Idol.
Yeah, well, American something. All right, so thank you to Z1 Simwheel, our sponsor, to the racers and the admins who make this all possible, to Brian Carey and Anthony Muniz for their excellent commentary. And we will see you again next week at VIR.